Well, good morning out there on YouTube. It's only me again with another pile of junk. This is an old lTT KB stereo record player from the early 70s. It's just about new enough to have the new UK colours in the lead for the power, brown for live, blue for neutral, and green and yellow for earth, as opposed to the old red for live, black for neutral, and green for earth. Now they're going to have us have blue and black in double insulated leads, and since that means neutral to most people, people think, what the hell do I do with that? But never mind, onwards and upwards. This thing was in a shocking state when I found it. It was on the rubbish dump, and it's a tale of two record players really, because the record player itself is obviously all here. The only thing that wasn't was the crystal cartridge, which is a BSR SX6M, and I thought, where the hell am I going to find one of those? Well, I went up to my shed, and sure enough, in the box of cartridges was the very thing, complete with a decent stylus. So I then had to remember what sequence the wires went on, but that wasn't too much of a problem. But the speakers were. The speakers form the lid when it's not in use, and they're branded as RGD, a make I have heard of. But the only trouble is, look at that, there's nothing in it. It's just like Gordon Brown, there's nothing there at all. It's empty, a big void. Somebody's had the speakers. And you can see that they were elliptical speakers, and I seem to remember they had shielded magnets underneath a sort of dome. So the only thing I can do is to fit these, and this set is a bit fussy because it needs 16 ohm speakers, and it's got germanium transistors in it, and I don't fancy trying to connect 8 ohm ones to it in case they blow. So these two came out of I don't know what, but they ought to do the job. I don't know whether they'll sound quite as good. In the meantime, I'm using a pair of contemporary lTT speakers, probably better than those were in sound, and they're the right colour too. They're the same colour as the set here, whereas those are mahogany effect. There's some big brothers to them over there as well, but they're made of wood. So without further ado, let's see if this thing will play. Well, that has a really rich, deep mellow sound to it, which you wouldn't expect from a portable, really, would you, if we're honest. The record player itself is a BSR deck. It's a sort of miniature version of their auto changer, but it has the same AC motor in it, and the power for the amp on these comes from a winding provided on that motor, so the motor acts as a transformer as well. And I've seen this done in quite a few older sets that have valves in. And a friend of mine used to have an Alba set up years ago, and it was one of the ones with the speaker on the front. And there was an extension speaker too, and you could plug that in the back, and it was the same size as the front of the machine. I think they were the same moulding probably, but it had dirty great big elliptical speakers in it, and the only thing was that little winding on the motor hadn't really got it in it to provide enough power, and so if you turned him up too loud it sounded awful. But no such problems here by the look of it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the film, and see you again soon.